Everybody ready? And since we have a quorum, we'll go ahead and call to a meeting or call to order the February 10th, 2022 regular town council meeting. Have a moment of silence. I need to get a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Joey makes that motion. Tom seconds. All in favor? Unanimous. All right. Need to have a motion to approve the consent agenda. The agenda that's in your, all the reports that are in your package. Joey makes that motion. Scott seconds. All in favor? Unanimous. Is there a attorney report? No, not today. Old business. I took Scott and Tom around to look at our water system so they could be familiar with it through various discussions. I believe Scott has agreed that he would take on that role as our water liaison. So I have a motion to appoint Scott as our water liaison. Joey makes that motion. Tom seconds. All in favor? If that would be a deadlock, then I'll vote to break the deadlock. So, new business. We have a gentleman here with the Habersham County Historical Society.
No.
No?
He's a sign permit.
He's a sign permit. Didn't recognize you. Okay, well, our Historical Society person's not
Not
here.
here yet.
Okay, so we'll skip that for now. Next on the agenda is the Arbor Day proclamation. Several years ago, we decided to go in with Georgia Forestry's program, planting trees, keeping the town beautiful, creating oxygen, all that stuff. So every year we make a proclamation. And y'all should have a copy of that in front of you. So it says that whereas the first Arbor Day was celebrated in 1872 as a special day for planting trees, since then, it has grown to thousands of celebrations in communities across our nation each year. And whereas community trees improve public health and air, water quality, reduce the erosion of precious topsoil, and increase property values and economic vitality in business areas, they also increase energy efficiency through shade, provide habitats for wildlife, and beautify neighborhoods, parks, streets, and residential developments. And whereas all of Georgia benefits from urban community forestry, which contributes more than 0.4 billion to our state's economy and provides employment for more than 46,000 people. And whereas community forestry leaders and partners will come together at the annual statewide Arbor Day celebration in Macon, Georgia, to celebrate the Arbor Day Foundation's Tree City USA, Tree Campus USA, and Tree Line USA programs, as well as the Georgia Forestry Commission's Sustainable Community Forestry Program. Now, therefore, I, Mike Early, Mayor of the town of Tallulah Falls, Georgia, do hereby proclaim February 18th, 2022 as Arbor Day in Tallulah Falls and encourage our citizens to plant trees, thus leaving a legacy for present and future generations. And I need a motion to allow me to make that proclamation. Joey makes the motion, Scott seconds, all in favor. Tom?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Unanimous. Sign that later. And on that note, Carl Seaman has approached me. He would like to do some landscaping and planting of some, not trees, but shrubs or something, this little triangle out here. And we've had another group wanting to do that many years ago. So he wouldn't do it at any cost. He'd do it at no cost to the town, just as he came up with stuff, start putting some things up in there, dress it up a little bit. So next on the agenda will be the payroll services agreement. So that is the continuation of the existing agreement. That's what I was not
That's
sure of.
exactly what we do now. I'm not sure if we ever had any written agreement with them, so I'm not sure what prompted them to send it. It's the same thing we're doing.
Okay, so that's in y'all's packet as well. If you have any questions. Continuation, then I'd like to have a motion that we sign that agreement and continue allowing Mixon and Mixon to manage our payroll. Scott makes the motion, Joey seconds. All in favor, unanimous. All right. Slightly bigger discussion. I don't know, some of y'all have seen the trees still out in the lake, and seen the lights are still on City Hall. I haven't had time to take those things down. And there are all sorts of things that I'm doing around town that it'd be really nice if we could create like a public works department and hire someone part-time to deal with some of that. I know people offer to help all the time, and that's great, but sometimes hard to coordinate. And especially if we need to use the tractor, the city's tractor, I don't think legally we can let just anybody get on it. We need either one of us, because we're considered an employee, be covered by workers' comp, or we'd have to have an employee get on it and do it. So, one of the ways I think we can cover the cost of this would be, that currently our water company EMS is charging us $1,144 a month for their service. I've had two other companies bid at $600 a month. And then they have varying rates on hourly rate. The lowest was $25 an hour. The other option was, when I spoke to the second company, Matt Nall is involved with that company. And he said he'd be willing to do it as a part-time employee. We'd have to talk to him about pay rate, but his high rate was $25 an hour. We might be able to talk him into like 22, 23 an hour, just to give some room for moving around. But he's already certified to manage water systems. He's got that state classification.
What company is he with?
Do you know the name of that company? Submitted that under? Yes, it's Lula something. I think I got the bid in there on the desk. So tonight, what I want to do is just kind of throw the idea out there and see what y'all thought, whether y'all wanted to, y'all had any ideas what to do. This would be a direction you'd want to go, start getting things lined up. We'd have to amend our budget in order to do that, because we'd have to create a payroll section somewhere, I believe, to cover that.
How many hours?
I'm not real sure how many hours it would be. I know he'd need to read meters once a month. That'd take at least 3 hours a month, I would assume. His bid was $600 a month to do the maintenance and everything that needed to be done.
Is this him or the company that he's?
That's the company he would be working under, but it would be him mainly.
I guess my question was, how many hours do you anticipate having a part-time employee?
I was gonna budget in the $600 range per month, whatever time that worked out to, so that'd be 24, huh? 240 hours.
$25 an hour.
It's 24 hours, okay, so it'd be 24 hours a month. Then there'd be a little, but that would be just for the water system, so he'd do at least that amount of work for our water system. And then we could do a little bit more, since we're gonna be cutting out 1,100, saving $500 a month. We could do a little bit more, so he could help clean up. We have the grates across from City Hall that have to be cleaned periodically, helping with the lights and doing things. He's already familiar with our Sam Davis well drilling, and they can come out and help if we need to put meters in. He can either do that himself, or he can contract that out. He could also be the person to make sure that we track down and keep on top of some of the projects, like the road projects that we need to be done. You can make phone calls, make sure contractors are coming in when they're going to come in, do some of that coordinating. Just basically anything considered public works.
As I understand it, I'm assuming that he's got other either municipalities or something like that, that he's done this work for, and all the proper certification,
Correct.
and everything like that. You're the new water guy, right? You know, I'd let the new water guy.
Take on all of that? Get certified?
No, I mean, just, you know, basically do the background checks and make sure financially it makes sense. Aren't you glad you took that position? Made my day. What do you think?
Who's more qualified? Bill Gocher, Matt Knoll, to do something.
Yeah, and Bill has said, Bill and Bruce both know our water system, they both said they would help Matt out when he needs extra assistance from time to time. So, and the other nice thing would be that Matt just lives a mile out of town, so he can respond pretty quick if we have something come up. Unless he does have a full-time job, so that could only be part-time. But his schedule is such that he's off during the days enough to be able to manage the water system.
What's his fault?
Security at the trade school. And he can leave if something comes up. He's already talked to him. They give him permission to leave to deal with certain situations in town. So I think it's worth at least looking at and thinking about, and even doing for a trial period with him.
Why did our current ones, what caused their, I mean, they haven't been that amount the entire time.
No, they went up by $44 a month this back in January. They were 1,100, but they charge $85 an hour per man hour here at site. And they usually have their own crews that'll come out at that rate, and it gets expensive pretty quick. Sam Davis doesn't charge quite that much when he does his work, so. Yeah.
So the two others, the one that Matt's involved with and the other one that's $600 a month, do they have more employees? And it would just be Matt or? In other words, relying on one person that has another job.
Right, American Water is the other company, but this is if you wanted to hire it out to a different company. They were $600 a month, they were $100 an hour, but that was for two men to come out to do work. And all this is to do the same work that EMS is providing now. So if we want to look at just getting a new contract with a contractor that costs less, there's American Water, and then there's the company that Matt's with.
Isn't EMS, what, an hour and a half away?
Yeah, well, their workers are, I think one of them lives in Commerce, the other lives down around Gainesville, and then I think one's over near Rome.
This is the group we're currently with?
Yeah, I see Pickens County on their trucks.
Where's American Water? No.
American Water's in Cleveland. They also have their own lab. That's one of the advantages they bring. So they can do a lot of their own, they can do their own testing for quality issues. Now, they can't, and some safety issues they don't do, I don't think they do the testing that the EPD requires. I don't think anybody does. I think we have to send that to the EPD, and we've got a contract with them of $90 a year. Is it more than that? Okay. 1,000, okay. So we have a contract with EPD to do that testing for our water system. That's separate. That's the advantage that American Water would bring if we want to go with a contractor. And then the local company with Matt, Bill, and Bruce, I believe, are all involved in that one. They're about the same rate, except Matt's part of it would be $25 a month. $25 an hour for any extra work above and beyond his $600
Seems like a no-brainer as far as cutting costs, monthly expenses.
Yeah, the other thing, if we go with hiring Matt as an employee, would be he would give us a first responder in town when he was in town to be able to respond to emergency calls. Remember a few months ago, Paul was talking about, be nice to have someone that's around town during the day sometimes. So on the days that he was here, that would give us another responder as well, so.
I mean, it sounds kind of straightforward, but I'd say do
Yeah,
diligence to check all of them. Now, how does, I mean, I know this, that, the group that we had water systems, like they have the waterfall, if I'm not mistaken, they have Sky Valley. They don't, okay. But I knew they had the waterfall and some others up here. All of them are using them and they don't have anybody locally. That seems,
yeah, they do. You know, the ones that they do.
Initially, they were in the school, but they're not doing.
They're not doing the school, they lost that contract, not long after which they hired on with us. But they were mostly doing wastewater treatment for the school. And that's actually EMS's specialty was wastewater treatment. They picked up drinking water with a couple of their employees, and it kind of fits to the municipalities sometimes that have both. So, so they're actually, yeah, I don't know any of their workers that are local.
I mean, it seems like, you know, if you were gonna have and be going after that many places, then in the area, you have people closer to commerce.
I think they have trouble just like everybody else having help them,
Yeah,
especially on their, they've got several, I think they just hired another operator. Josh told me, I don't know where he was from, but they're struggling finding help on their maintenance crews.
Do we by chance know who TFS replaced EMS with?
I think they do it on their own, like
yeah, I think,
Michael Rogers would be.
yeah, Michael manages that now. So. Should they? No, they're not advertising for that. With an advertising for maintenance employee, I couldn't remember if it was for their wastewater, but I don't think it is. So I think Michael Rogers takes care of most stuff in the school at this point.
Who does, I mean, like the city of Clayton or Mountain City or any of those
A lot of them they did it themselves.
themselves?
And that was something that we had talked about at one point. Linda, were you certified at one point with Sky Valley?
No, we talked about it.
Talked about it. There's also the possibility of, at one point, the mayor here, I think Jimmy Young, was certified for the water system. And one of our clerks was certified. And so then they just hire contractors out and they just made sure that everything was maintained. And Linda had mentioned once that she'd be willing to get certified if we wanted to go that route as well. And all that she would do is make sure that things were done right. We'd still have to hire someone to do the work.
I don't know if it's still, if he's still certified, but Jimmy Cash was certified. Because he used to do it before Michael Rogers
Okay.
over at school. So I don't know if he's still certified, but
I know he helped EMS when they were there. So there may be some options for other part-timers, depending on how we want to lay that out. So I think it's definitely worth getting some more information, like Joey says, and then have a meeting with some people, with Matt or Jimmy, and let them talk to y'all about how they work out.
Yeah.
Is he able to take on, like, Matt, is he able to take that on if the company is contracting this for their services? Doing it outside of that. to be an employee of the town.
Yeah, that'd be the option would be either to hire the company on and then he'd be working for that company, wouldn't be a city employee. Or we do it as a city employee, that gives him freedom to use our equipment. And we pay him an hourly rate to do other work as well. Now, we could theoretically hire him outside of that capacity for other things.
I was thinking of it from the workers' comp standpoint, just if we hire the company to come in and run the water system, and he's a part-time employee who is going to do some amount of time, so he's sort of on both, there is a potential for a situation if he's sort of wearing both hats, so to speak, and gets hurt during that time, and everybody gets into a,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, I didn't want to get into that kind of situation, so I was just proposing that it be, either we look at hiring a company in like we've got now, or hiring Matt or someone like Matt into that role and create a public works director role. And not have the company doing it, have him doing it, because he'd still be certified. So they were separate.
yeah,
Ideas.
it's not both, it's kind of,
Yeah, being either or situation.
At what point, like, in doing this, does the town have to look at providing benefits? It's for a part-time employee.
Yeah, do we have a,
No, yeah, not for part-time.
Okay. So they gotta be full-time before.
Mhm.
Okay, Virginia benefits provided.
and that's.
Like 30
It's 30 hours, I think.
Okay. So, and that's a consistent 30 hours. It's not like 1 week he did. Okay.
and again, if we're gonna look at Matt and all, he, being in the reserves, he doesn't need benefits. He's getting benefits through the military.
Okay, so how often does he get called up?
He'll have to do, he has to do a 2-week tour once a year, and then once a month on a weekend. I believe he goes out. And that's where Bill Gocher and Bruce would step in if an emergency arose while he was out of town. And they may have another employee, that'd be part of the discussion.
But that's in the group you're talking about. The other company, that's the
Yeah.
owners.
Yeah, if we go with the company, that'd be correct. If we decided to create a part-time position, Bill and Bruce still have offered, even as individual capacity, because they're both certified also, to step in and help Matt in that regard. So that'd be like, it'd almost be like we'd have a part-time position and we'd have 2 reserve positions on standby in case Matt couldn't attend to something.
So would we make the employees of the town too, then?
I would think so.
Trying to think. At what point, I think this is Joey's point,
Yeah.
but at how many employees on payroll, part-time or not, is where you have to start providing benefits?
I think it's based on hours.
We provide benefits now.
Really, it's health insurance.
Yeah, so that's based on hours. I mean, hours.
So as long as each individual doesn't work more than 30 hours.
I was thinking the number was pretty big anyway, before we got subject to that. 50.
But I mean, we have health insurance for a whole time.
Well, I'm just trying to, I'm not up to speed right now, for benefits, but that was, if you went, so proposal A is you have a company, it's just an independent contractor.
So what we've been doing.
Proposal B is we're gonna hire one of the principals of that company to do it outside the company, but as an employee, with the 2 other part-time employees they wouldn't really do anything unless.
Right.
So, just for clarification for me, we went with this local company, whatever the name might be. It $600 for roughly 24 hours a month. Is that correct?
That's, we would have to check. We'd
And
have to-
that would be the go-to guy,
Yeah, you would be the man.
unless
to go
he's
to.
unavailable.
Right.
And we've got 2 reserves for that.
Right.
So then on top of that, we're thinking about maybe an additional 20 to 25 hours for city work. So he would be roughly at 49 hours in a month.
Right,
Yeah, which is nowhere near what it takes to get benefits.
right.
So, I mean, it's really not relevant in this situation.
You got multiple, the way I'm counting it right now, you've got 4 different options to look at. I'm glad you've got this work.
Well, I think Larry said he was willing to serve with ex officio capacity.
What's the government body that oversees? Is it the, EPD? Right, okay. I mean, are all of these companies, I'm assuming, in good standing with them and, you know,
I mean, I don't know anything about the local company. Are they doing any? Do you know if they're doing
Yeah.
anybody else right now?
Well, they all work individually right now, and they're all doing different groups, like, Bill has Laurel Ridge, he's taking care of their water system. When he can't get up there, Bill, or Matt, or he'll call Matt or Bruce, they'll run up there and take care of something. Matt is doing it for 2 other communities, I can't remember which ones they are. And, I don't know if,
Yeah, I wonder if he's
everybody
doing-
else.
is Matt doing Mountain Stream? There used to
He
be,
might be,
there, because that's where he lives.
yeah,
And they had a water system up there that they were trying to get away from, but I don't think they ever did.
right.
And I know,
Yeah, I'm not real sure, but that'd be part of the questions we'd ask him. And
If we could, I think we just need to table this. Let me reach out
I
to
agree.
her, do some work.
Yeah.
To figure out, answer some questions that we have. And then let me come back and present what I found.
Good.
And we'll go from there. I mean, I think we're all, I believe, in agreement that EMS needs to go. We need to look at another option just for the cost savings alone.
Right,
And if we can then use that cost savings to benefit the town by having a part-time employee to do some of the work that you've been trying to do,
yeah,
I think we need that. So, you know, and it's a good use of the money.
right.
So, you know, let's just see where it goes, but I think, you know, let's start the process.
Very good. So we'll,
We're-
yeah, that'll be a motion to table.
Motion to table.
Joey seconds, all in favor? Unanimous. All right, and so we'll just look, I'll get you some information and I can meet with you and whoever you want to talk to.
Great.
And we'll get that ball rolling. All right, also in front of you, we have 3 quotes for removing a tree. I showed this to Scott and Tom. But Joey, there's a tree over here by the Rock House. It's covered in vines. The top of it came out in a snowstorm. And I'm fairly certain that it's on our property, our side of the property line, but it endangers Bill Turk's house over here. So he's asked us to do some due diligence and see about getting it removed before his insurance has to pay. But I think him pointing it out to us does put some liability on us. So Deadwood Timber came in at $900. That's for anyone that knows him, that's Jade Eller from his company. Benefield Tree and Landscaping Service came in at $1,700 to remove it. They would be bringing a crane in, so they can come in for less than that if they don't feel like they need to use the crane. At least $500 less. Yeah. And he's a young man out of Raven County. He's related to Linda, her nephew, I believe, that has the tire, Wiley Tire. And then McAllister Tree Service, we got this quote from Bill Turk had them look at it while they were out on looking at some other stuff for him. And they turned in $1,000 quote. So I haven't had a chance to talk to Manuel, and we need to check Manuel's insurance and make sure it allows for tree cutting.
Yeah.
Because I found out later that landscaping insurance oftentimes is very exclusive and says no tree cutting allowed. So we'll double check with him. I'll get a quote from him.
Well, I've got a chainsaw.
So we'll check Joey's insurance as well before we cut him loose. Independent contractor. So I guess what I'd like tonight is, I think if I can get approval for up to $1,000, then I can go ahead and get Manuel's bid, do some checking, and then I'll, if y'all would authorize me to just award to whomever up to $1,000, that would give us some options.
I've used McAllister in the past. And very,
Yeah, I've used Deadwood, and they've given us quotes before as well, so.
So let me make sure, Benfield's thing was so high because he was looking to bring a crane in, but it may not be.
Yeah, I'd actually asked him, I said, if you think, what would it be to bring a crane in because of where it's located? And he said, well, it'd be an extra $500. I wouldn't make any money on that. And he says, but I can take it down without a crane. So that's why I'd like to go back and talk to him again. If y'all would authorize up to, let's say $1,000.
Yeah, another one you might check with, and I'm pretty sure he's got a crane. If you're interested, I think Tom Lorraine.
That's who I first called.
Oh,
He's out of the tree cutting business, but he provides the crane service.
Okay.
It's $500. So, so can I have a
What kind of
motion?
tree is it? Just, is it
It's a
pine?
pine. It's a pine, but we've got several options. These quotes are for complete removal. Get the trees gone when they're done. They said they could come in. Benefield said he'd just drop it back over toward the other property line and let us clean it up. And there'd be a lower price. And I think Deadwood said the same thing. And I've never talked to him with McAllister, so.
The only thing about it is, I mean, if it were, I'm just sitting here thinking, if it were oak or, something like that, that people would want for firewood, you can't hardly give pine wood for it.
Yeah, we've got plenty of wood at Bluegrass already. So I don't know that we'd be able to use it over there.
there's a company that we've used also. They're called Arbor Heights. And they're out of Tacoma. And their phone number is 706-244-2300. And they too have a crane. If they were to chip that tree, could those chips be used in the trimming?
Possible.
I wonder if that mulch would help Carl with what he's hoping to do.
Yeah, it could.
Make sure the vines aren't poison ivy and all over it.
Yeah.
Well, the ones I saw were English ivy, but I'm not gonna guarantee they're not. I will not guarantee that.
Good point.
So there aren't that many branches on that tree either. They've all fallen out. Some of them are dead, and there's one hanging ready to fall out. But I don't want to get near it. And the one that came out was pretty big, and it's lucky it didn't hit anything.
I'd like to make a motion that we allow up to $1,000 from tree removal. Based on whatever you decide is best.
All right, no, I will call Arbor Heights and then I'll not leave them out. So Tom seconds. All in favor? Unanimous. All right, we'll get that worked up. Zoning setback exemptions. We've had some really niggly little things come up real recently about some playhouses in town that are right up on the property line. Now, both of them happen to have been built on existing structures or were slightly remodeled. So But it brought up a pretty interesting realization, is that if someone wants to be real petty about life and they're gonna start going after children's playhouses, I'd like to get with planning and zoning, and come up with some kind of exemption for playhouses on setbacks, because sometimes these playhouses are little plastic things, and the kids are gonna push them all over the yard, they don't know where your property boundaries are. Tree houses, there's a great tree on my property line, it'd be an awesome tree house. It's my neighbor's tree, it's on his side of the line, but it's right on the line. Would a tree house be considered a structure or building and require setbacks?
What about a doghouse?
Doghouse, anything small, smallish like that, that I think's for play or,
I mean, can we use maybe a foundation as, the basis? I mean, if it doesn't have a foundation, therefore it doesn't qualify.
possibly something to look at. But, so it'll have to go through the standard zoning procedure where they'll have to have their conversation, they'll have their public hearings, and it comes to us for public hearings. But we have to create a definition for playhouses or whatever else we want to fit into this category. And then the exemption to the setbacks for some of those. So I want to be very careful though and not include workshops, storage buildings, garages, things like that, because I think that's part of why you need setbacks is for stuff like that. But for playhouses and I mean, I could see someone put the swing set up and it being close to the property line. And somebody that didn't, the neighbor may not care, but someone driving by real slow goes, oh, that's way too close to the property line. So they file complaints and just can be a nuisance. And that's what's happened recently. So I'll start that process with planning and zoning here within the next month.
I've seen in other counties where it's under 80 square feet or something, and it has shedding water towards somebody else's property. That's part of the issue. Square footage.
It's to create something like that.
It's sort of a balancing act between preserving the intent and integrity of the zoning ordinance while not making the zoning ordinance a situation for the town as the referee.
So, yeah, we'll begin that process and start taking input from concerned people that how we want to try to word that, make it a smaller square footage. Right now, they already fall under the minimum square footage that doesn't require a permit, but there's still a provision for a setback. So that's why we need to discuss it. So we can make it a smaller foundation or smaller footprint, like less than 100 square feet or less than 80 square feet, or whatever. We'll look into that.
Well, we had some amendments recently too, dealing with wind and climate.
Yes.
Sort of piggybacks on it.
So just kind of fit in with that. That's the nature of our zoning ordinances. We're finding little things here and there, and as we go through life, we'll find something that doesn't fit our town and we need to change it. So I'll start working on that. And then our final agenda item is signed
I appreciate
permit.
y'all squeezing me in.
So y'all have in your packet a permit for a sign. I believe this is up by the grill.
Yes, it's
Okay.
on the far end down there. It's just my wife and I in there, we're partners in real estate.
So let the zoning administrator explain the application.
So this is for an 8x4 sign. It's on the last page there. Got a picture of it, which I talked to Mr. Bradley. He said that the width would be the 8 foot. This shows it as square foot. The width would be the 8 foot. 4 foot height. So that does meet the criteria of our zoning ordinance for attached signs for principal use. And I have checked with Mr. Hamilton, who has confirmed that he gives that permission as the owner of the property.
So, I mean, it's not really a business sign, it's more of a building.
And his office is gonna be there.
Oh, there's an office.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's got.
So-
In the upstairs,
Right, right.
Yeah.
So the restaurant's on the left and then it's,
So that
we're actually making it into an extra suite there, so.
Oh,
And
and
he-
subletting it from the restaurant?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. I've been in there gutting it out and making it look all nice.
I
It
think
needed some work.
It used to be a real estate office.
That's what they were telling me. I
Yeah.
wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, it used to be a real estate office. I don't remember who was there.
I think Wayne was in there for a little while. Wayne Harris.
I believe you're right.
I think he was in there for a while.
Will it be mounted on the building?
It will, yes.
Is that where there's like a banner up now? Is
The
that
banner's
going
gonna be removed. It would be more likely on the roof. But the banner will be removed. I'm trying to talk her into, taking over that post over there on the side, but I don't think I can talk her into that right now, but it seems like the roof would be the only way to go with it.
Seems like a good combination. Have real people come and look for real estate, you can take them next door and buy them lunch.
Right, right. That's the plan and the goal, so we're hoping this will work out.
So, we have a motion to accept the sign application. Joey makes the motion, Scott seconds, all in favor, it's unanimous. Along those lines, planning and zoning met last night to work on our new sign ordinance, trying to coordinate. I didn't listen to I haven't listened to that yet. I will later. But I know one of the things that they're looking at is taking this off the council's plate, because that shouldn't have to come to council for approval. Our zoning administrator, if it meets all our demands, should be able to make that decision, so. But that'll come up when they come up with their final draft to present to the council. For sign ordinance, so. One less thing for us to have to do at our level. Mayor's comments, like I said, I want to let y'all know Carl might be doing some landscaping over here. And we also will be starting bluegrass back up in April. Go ahead and start the first Saturday in April. And we will most likely go ahead and start serving food again, doing the hot dogs. So anybody wanting to help cook hot dogs or bring barbecue,
So,
just welcome to come down. And Bill is not going to be helping us that much anymore. So be nice to have someone that can turn some hot dogs and meet and greet people from time to time. So that's an open invitation to anybody in town that wants to come down and help out with that. Also, we have a big pile of wood right over here by the lake. It is free for the taking. Anybody needs firewood, there is some hardwood in there. It's probably very green.
I told a bunch of people that so far I don't mind.
Because at some point, we're gonna have to get rid of it before people start piling other stuff on top of it like they did a couple of years ago. So it's free for the taking. Anybody that wants it can have at it. And please do, by all means, you be doing us a favor. So
It's just a down tree over there.
it's trees from all over town. We were cleaning up after the snowstorm, just got piled over there. So
Well, if not, it'll be there for December bonfire.
if I can build a fire that big, you know, I almost brought the lines down last year. I was worried about it.
That was the best fire yet.
It was a great
It was a great fire.
But I let Carl take over feeding it, and it got a little out of hand. So, for someone in the fire department, he sure does know how to burn things pretty well. So, anyway, no more mayor's comments. Do we have any public comments before we go into executive session? All right, then I need a motion to go into executive session to discuss pending and or potential litigation with our attorney. Joey makes that motion.
Take breaks first.
Second, Tom, all in favor? Unanimous. Okay, we're going to executive session at this time.
I appreciate y'all. Thank you very
we'll
much.
have to
Thank you.
Good luck.
All right, thank you. Thank you. I'm Michael Bradley. by the way.
Nice
Nice to meet you. Hey, how are you?
Yeah, Warren Tiller.
Michael Bradley. Nice to meet you.